I've been on a mission to find the perfect everyday focal length and the perfect everyday lens for my Fujifilm camera. I am determined to try as many lenses as possible, within reason, obviously, document the process and report back to you. In today's video, I'm testing a focal length that I don't use that much and probably the least used focal length in my photography style. TTArtisan kindly sent me their 23mm 1.8 to try out, but this review is not sponsored and I don't have to say anything nice. As usual, this won't be a super technical review, it's more of a reflection on this focal length, and we are gonna see some pictures I've taken with this lens and my experience with it. So you might be wondering why am I even bothering with all this. Back in May, we gave up our rental in Manchester and started traveling for a few months. For the first time, I had to seriously prioritize gear that's lightweight but still performs well. My absolute ride or die, my go-to lens for my Fujifilm cameras is the zoom, the 16 to 55mm 2.8 that I absolutely love, that I've used to death, but it's bulky, it gets in the way. I have the older version, so it's slightly heavier than the new one. It's been my mission for a while now to try find something that's more practical. As I am growing as a photographer and I am studying the work of the Masters of Photography, I have really noticed how wider lenses are usually the most used. I worked as a still life, portrait, full photographer, and compressed focal length are usually the way to go as they're just flattering. As I adventure in documentary style photography, I want to learn how to work with wider lenses. There are more elements in the frame, so composition becomes a bit more difficult. My motivations behind the photo is usually to flatter or to make something ordinary look beautiful, and not that ordinary things are not beautiful, but you know what I mean? And I try to create a dreamy world with my photos. There are a few alternatives if you're looking for a 23mm lens for Fujifilm. We've got the OG Fujifilm lens that came out a few years ago. There is also a manual version from a quite famous German manufacturer that I'm not even gonna try to pronounce because I know that a lot of people do watch these videos from Germany, so I'm not gonna do that, but I've heard good things about it and I almost bought the 27mm myself. But I do see your comments and your messages telling me how good these lenses are, so it might be a future purchase. Design-wise, it's pretty clean and it should be metal, but it's still quite light. I do wish it was a pancake size like the 27mm. That will make it the perfect size. But I'm guessing they prioritized the 1.8 aperture over keeping it super compact. It looks good on the XH2 and helps keep the setup nice and slim. There is no aperture ring, which I personally don't really mind, but if you're planning to use this camera on an X-T5 or on another Fujifilm model that is not the XH line, and you still want that analog-like experience, that could potentially bother you. I took this lens with me to Porto and kept it on my Fujifilm XH2 whenever I left the house. Our flat was just a short walk from a beautiful spot called Jardins do Palacio. I hope I'm saying that right. And I found myself returning there almost every evening, capturing lots of photos. As usual, I prefer to show you the images so you can see what this lens is capable of. And I'll also talk about some of the edits I made to correct a few quirks in the lens that I'm not a fan of. These cheap lenses always surprise me in the best way, especially the most recent ones. The colors and the overall image quality are really impressive. They are never the exact same as Fujifilm lenses, but that just means you have to put a bit more work into post-production. Flaring does show up. I found quite a bit with this lens, so you definitely need to keep the lens hood handy. Many Fujifilm shooters, unlike me, really lean into Fujifilm's color science, and they take advantage of the film simulations. With lenses like this that have some imperfections that need fixing in post-production, it might be quite tricky if you're only shooting with JPEGs and you don't want to edit your images. This is something to keep in mind if you don't want to edit your images and you still want clean photos, or if you specifically want some quirks and imperfections and character to your photos. I like to call this lens a bit funky. The bokeh can get a little wild and there is noticeable vignetting along with a light leak-like effect. If you're into lenses with character, this one is definitely for you. In terms of autofocus performance, I don't really have anything negative to say. I don't really want to get into the whole Fujifilm has bad autofocus debate, because I don't think it's that bad. For the type of photography I do, which is still life, travel, interiors, I don't really need a beast of an autofocus. But if you shoot weddings, if you shoot events, if you shoot wildlife, if you shoot sports, then it's a whole another story. But for me, it works fine. Whenever I review something, I always ask myself, so who is this for? I personally don't believe there is such a thing as the absolute best camera, the absolute best lens in the world. I think it all comes down to what your needs are and what your budget is. This particular lens is ideal for travel thanks to its size and weight. It gets the job done, but it's not perfect, so if you're only bringing 1 or 2 primes with you on a trip, it might not cover everything you need. And if you're after flawless image quality for professional work, this also might not be the lens for you. It does have its limitation, like vignetting, low contrast, and some softness when shot wide open, but it's still sharp, especially when stopped down. You're definitely safe at f8 and above. If you're considering a 35mm for Fuji, this lens can also be a great way to test whether this focal length suits your style. In short, I think this lens is for the hobbyist photographer, or for the photographer off-duty who wants something not too precious but still capable of producing good results. Would I rely on this lens as my only option on a trip, or would I use it for the rest of my life? Probably not. And it's not just for the lens itself. Personally, while I do enjoy 23mm focal length for Fuji, I am more of a 27mm gal. Anything between 38mm and 42mm is my sweet spot for the photography I do, which is probably why my all-time favorite travel camera is the Contax T2. This is probably not the one lens I will take traveling with me, but it's a fun lens to use. This series of videos is also a way for me to document my daily life more and make photography fun on those days when I don't feel like it. Please let me know in the comments what is your favorite everyday lens, your favorite everyday focal length to use, and if there is a specific lens you would like me to review. I will happily do that for you. And that's everything from me today. Please leave a like, subscribe, because it really helps my small channel if you like this video. And I'll see you in the next one.